Mike and Teresa, experienced hikers, had seen a lot during their adventures, but nothing could have prepared them for what they would find deep in the forest one Saturday afternoon. They were excited for another hike in the local preserve, a place they had hiked many times before, but this time they planned to explore a remote part of the forest they hadn't covered yet. Their friend Jonathan, though not as experienced, decided to tag along. From the start, something felt off. The usual signs of wildlife were missing. There was an eerie silence in the forest, unlike the usual chatter of birds and rustling of animals. Even stranger, the paths they were following didn't line up with the maps they had. The trails were confusing, and it seemed like they were heading further into unfamiliar territory. Teresa suggested they might be in an area they weren't supposed to be, but there were no signs to indicate it. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they reached the center, where a surprising sight awaited them. The clearing was bathed in sunlight, and at its edge stood an old stone house covered in ivy, with a strange, unsettling presence. What struck them as odd wasn't just the house itself, but the wire traps strung around it, designed to trip anyone who got too close. Mike cautiously approached, his curiosity growing, but before they could investigate, they heard a strange ticking sound coming from inside the house. Teresa, feeling uneasy but driven by curiosity, peered inside through a small window. With the aid of her phone flashlight, she spotted a small box connected to the wires, blinking with red lights. It didn't look dangerous, but the device's presence in such a remote location felt wrong. Mike, Jonathan, and Teresa discussed what to do next. Jonathan was eager to explore, while Teresa felt they should leave, worried that they might be triggering an alarm. But the more they looked, the more they realized the house and the device seemed significant, something worth understanding. As they continued their investigation, Jonathan noticed a camera attached to a tree. That was the last straw. Someone was definitely watching them. Teresa wanted to leave immediately, but Jonathan was still determined to figure out what was going on. The group gathered around the house, trying to make sense of the wires and the blinking device. Just as they were about to take a closer look, they heard footsteps approaching in the distance. In a panic, they fled the clearing, but Jonathan, ever curious, grabbed the device, unwilling to leave it behind. As they ran, they could hear barking dogs getting closer. The forest suddenly felt much more dangerous. It wasn't long before they encountered a man who introduced himself as Peter, a local forest ranger. He had been tracking the device, and the dogs were part of his team. Relieved by his calm demeanor, Mike and Teresa explained their discovery of the stone house. Peter listened attentively and revealed that the house had been part of a long-forgotten amusement park. What they had stumbled upon wasn't a random relic but an important research site. Peter had been studying a rare species of animal that lived in the forest, and the tracker Jonathan had found was crucial to monitoring the animals. Unfortunately, Peter had left the device behind during his last visit, and now he was desperately trying to recover it. Jonathan, realizing his mistake, apologized for his actions and explained that he thought the device might be valuable. Peter wasn't angry but was clearly relieved to have the device back. Peter invited them to his cabin, where he explained in more detail. The stone house was part of a secret project, and the rare species he was studying was vital to his research. The tracker had been monitoring the species' movements, and Peter feared that if someone else found it, they might take credit for his discovery. As Peter spoke, Mike, Teresa, and Jonathan began to understand just how important their involvement had been in recovering the tracker and protecting Peter's work. Afterward, the group returned to the forest edge to look for Jonathan's hidden stash of the tracker, and he finally revealed where he had left it. That evening, Peter expressed his gratitude, and a few days later, Mike and Teresa saw Peter's discovery in the newspaper, with him thanking the group for their help. The tiny house, though mysterious and frightening, had led to a significant find in the forest, and their unexpected adventure had turned out to be more than just a hike. It had been a chance to assist in an important scientific discovery. Though their journey had been filled with tension and uncertainty, Mike, Teresa, and Jonathan couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. Knowing their curiosity and determination had helped protect a rare species and support Peter's important research.